This is Jaime Velez from WEBFORCE1, and at first I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's webcast presentation. This is the fourth in a series that we're doing on Office 365 through O'Reilly Media. Today's topic is focusing on Exchange Online. So in the past, we covered, the first webcast we did was an introduction to Office 365. We followed that by another webcast that we did on SharePoint Online, and the one we did last one was on Office Web Apps. So to continue the series, today we're going to focus on Exchange Online. And we're going to focus really on the power of Exchange on the cloud. As you all know, Office 365 is a brand new cloud service provided by Microsoft. Our company, WEBFORCE1, we focus on providing small business web solutions. We do migration and implementation services on Office 365 for small and medium-sized businesses. If you'd like to tweet about today's event, or if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I've also included the hashtag, my Twitter handle there is WebForceJamie, so feel free to tweet about today's event. Also, I typically get a lot of questions at the end of the presentation about the slides. I usually make those available through SlideShare, but if you just follow me on Twitter, you'll see me post a link just a few minutes shortly after the webcast. I usually post the presentation so you can download it and view it afterwards. As Yasmina mentioned, the presentation is being recorded and it should be available usually about a day or two after the presentation is over. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to, real quick, I'd like to do a quick legal disclaimer. So Office 365 is actually a Microsoft product, and Exchange Online. Both Office 365 and Exchange Online are trademarks of the Microsoft Corporation. And anything that I express in today's webcast are my views and not the views of O'Reilly Media nor Microsoft. So I just wanted to do a quick legal disclaimer before we get started. Next, I just want to give you a quick rundown of today's agenda so you know what to expect today's webcast. First thing I'd like to do is just spend a minute or two talking about the cloud momentum. Everybody's talking about the cloud nowadays. It's the biggest buzzword in the industry. But I kind of want to go beyond the hype and talk about the real benefits why companies are moving to the cloud and what are some of the real business values that you get from moving to your system to the cloud. In this particular session, I'm going to focus on email, but it's beyond email. So, and then I want to give you a brief overview of Office 365. If this is the first time you're hearing about Office 365, this would be a good introduction for you. If you're already familiar, this will only take about 2 and services available. Then the majority of the session, I'm going to focus on Exchange. I'm going to first discuss what is Exchange Online, and then I'm going to give you some of the main features and capabilities of Exchange. It's not possible to cover it all in 1 hour, but I'm going to try to hit on the biggest functionality, on the biggest capabilities of Exchange, so you know what it means for your business. And then I'll do a quick demo. I like to, after I kind of go over some of the slides, I like to just show you the Office 365 portal and how you can manage Exchange Online through the browser. Then after the demo, what I'd like to do is discuss some of the different migration options that you have if you decide to move your email systems to Exchange Online. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about the benefits of moving to the cloud. I'll give you a quick some links how you can get started if you're interested in trying out Office 365 or Exchange Online. And then at the end, I'll leave it open for questions for Q&A. So we have a lot of material to cover, so let me quickly get started here. So why is everybody talking about the cloud? There's a lot of talk about this everywhere you turn. It's cloud solutions, cloud-based this, cloud-based that. Basically, the cloud is a new mind shift in the way companies consume IT. It's based on these 3 main factors right here. It's basically in new economics. People are only paying for what they use now. So think about IT now as another type of utilities. It's a good analogy I use, when you pay for electricity, you only pay for what you use. So IT is becoming the same way. There's different types of cloud services out there, but the bottom line is that you are not consuming it as a service and not as something that you got to invest in. It gives you lower predictable costs, so you know exactly what you're paying for on a monthly basis. You don't have to worry anymore about capital expenses, and you can now view some of your services as operational expenses. And it accelerates the deployment of your system. So it gives you accelerates your speed to value, meaning that you no longer have to wait 6 months to 12 months to implement a enterprise-wide or even a small business a small mid-sized information system, it only takes a matter of days, maybe weeks to deploy. It also reduces your management. So from the IT pro perspective, if you're the person that's usually maintaining the servers, patching the servers, that's no longer necessary because the cloud systems are maintained by the vendors. In our case, Office 365 is maintained by Microsoft, and it's actually hosted at Microsoft data centers. Like I said before, it's faster to deploy because you no longer have to worry about hardware or getting the infrastructure in place. It's already there. You just have to activate your service and start using it. It gives you redundancy and fault tolerance. So as a small business, a small mid-sized business, if you were to implement an Exchange Online server, more than likely you would only implement one server. That doesn't give you redundancy. In other words, if that server goes down, your whole email system goes down. But if you consume a service like Exchange Online, you actually utilizing multiple servers that are hosted at the Microsoft data center. So you have additional a high availability and redundancy built in already. And then the last thing is it increases your productivity. So you're always on the latest version of the software. In other words, when Microsoft decides to release the next version of Exchange, you don't have to worry about doing updates. It's going to be updated automatically, and it will be seamless to you. And it also leverages in the collaboration. The biggest advantage is that you have anywhere access. So you don't have to be connected to your corporate system. You can connect directly to the cloud through any device, through your phones, through an iPad, through any computer, through any browser. And it also gives you instant self-provisioning. So if you wanted to add additional mailboxes, for example, you don't even need to contact your IT person. If you have administrative access to the portal, you can go ahead and deploy additional mailboxes or additional services. So those are the three main reasons why everybody's talking about the cloud. Okay, let me give you a quick overview on Office 365. So if you're not familiar with Office 365, this is Microsoft. It's a Microsoft suite of communication and collaboration products that are hosted on the cloud. So Office 365, think of it as a suite of products, and those services include Office Professional. So depending on the plan that you choose, if you decide to take one of the enterprise plans, you can actually receive rights to download and use the full suite of Office Professional products. If you already have Office Professional, that's an optional. You don't have to download it. But the advantage of that is that you always get the latest version of Office. It includes Exchange Online, which is what we're going to be mainly discussing today. SharePoint Online, which is a collaboration and communication platform that allows you to build sites and it allows you to build different workflows, different functionality on the SharePoint platform. And it also includes Link Online. Link Online, it's going to be our next webcast. So if you want to learn more about Link Online, make sure you tune in. I believe it's December 1st when we do the next webcast. But Link Online is basically the unified communication platform for Office 365. It allows you to do things like instant messaging. It allows you to do PC-to-PC audio and video calls. And it also allows you to do screen sharing. So if you wanted to communicate and collaborate with a colleague that's in a different location, you can connect with them via link and share your desktop. So that's a quick overview of Office 365. On the next slide, I'm not going to go into every single bullet here, but I did want to highlight Exchange Online and then give you some of the high-level features of Exchange Online. So the main thing that you get, every user that signs up for an Exchange mailbox gets a 25 gig mailbox. That's a pretty large mailbox. Typically, most email providers give you maybe about 5 to 10 gigabytes, but Microsoft wanted to make sure that users had enough storage available, so they give you a pretty large mailbox, 25 gigs. With Exchange Online, you can connect via Outlook. You can also connect via the browser using Outlook web app, and during the demo, I will show you what that looks like. Exchange also provides you with antivirus, anti-spam filters, so it reduces the amount of junk that you receive in your mailboxes. It allows you to share your calendars and contacts and tasks with your team. And it allows you to via ActiveSync, you can access your email via a multitude of devices, different phones, iPhones, Blackberries, Windows Phone. And I'll show you some more examples of that a little bit later. But the biggest benefit of Office 365 is that it's a single platform that allows you to manage all these services. And there's a nice integration story between the different products. During the demo, I'm actually going to show you how SharePoint can integrate with Exchange Online, and how you can actually view some of your either your inbox or some of your contacts from Exchange in SharePoint. Okay. So I already touched on a few of these items here. So the real value of Office 365 is it increases your collaboration and productivity. You have access to your information from anywhere, not just your email, calendars, and tasks. But yeah, SharePoint, you have access to your files from any location as long as you have an internet connection. The previous webcast I did was focused around Office Web Apps. Office Web Apps is a new way of being able to work with your Office documents online through the browser. So you don't actually have to have Office installed to be able to open and edit documents. You can do it directly through the browser using Office Web Apps. And the biggest benefit is that it's a secure and reliable platform. Microsoft gives you a 99.9% guaranteed uptime. Basically what that means is if the service is not up for more than 99.9% of the time, Microsoft will reimburse you for the time that you lost on the service. And it increases the IT control and efficiency. For small and medium-sized businesses that typically don't have IT, this kind of gives you the ability to be able to manage it yourself. You don't need to have IT skills to be able to manage some of the basic features of Exchange Online. But if you're a larger organization, now you can focus on the business side of it instead of having to worry about hardware and infrastructure. Okay, so what is Exchange Online? So I just gave you a basic overview of Office 365, but if you're not familiar with Exchange, Exchange has been around for over 15 years. It's Microsoft's enterprise-class email server. Basically, it gives you a business-class email, contacts, calendar, task. Think of it as your personal information manager and also an email client. The real benefit of the Exchange server for the user is for Exchange Online is that you have access to your emails from anywhere, not just from your PC, but you can also configure your mobile phones, your iPads, or you can connect to a browser and check your emails, your calendars, your tasks from anywhere. For the organization, what Exchange provides is protection and compliance. So it basically has a built-in antivirus filter and anti-spam filter, so your employees don't have to spend more. They spend less time going through junk mail. And then for the IT department, it provides you greater visibility and greater control over your services. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of these three. So this is, in a nutshell, this is the three main benefits of implementing Exchange Online. So what I'd like to do now is spend the next few minutes talking about each of the three items. So let's go ahead and start with Anywhere Access. So as I mentioned earlier, you can access it through either Outlook, you can access it through Outlook Web Access, and this is a full-feature Outlook. It's full-feature email features that you get on your site. It's not a lightweight mail application. And the nice thing about Exchange Online, because it's on the Office 365 platform, you can access it via any browser. You can access it via Internet Explorer, Safari. So if you're using Macs or iPads, you can access it through that. Also Chrome and Firefox. I already mentioned that you get a 25 gig mailbox, which is pretty large compared to the industry standards. And you can access through any of your mobile devices. Okay, so Outlook Web Access gives you full fidelity. Basically, when you sign into the browser, it almost looks identical to your Outlook Rich client. It also gives you the new functionality of Outlook 2010, for example, conversation view. It's enabled automatically with Exchange Online. Mail Tips is another new feature that's available in Exchange 2010. Mail Tips basically, if you're sending an email to one of your colleagues and that colleague has an out-of-office message, you get to see that preview before you actually send the message. And then you can, at that point, you can decide whether you're going to send him or her the email anyway, so you can remove it from the subject, from the to line. Another feature that's available in Outlook 2010, besides Mail Tips, and it's also Meeting Room Finder. So through Exchange Online, you can configure your conference rooms, your meeting rooms, so you can manage that through Exchange and Outlook as well. Okay, and I already mentioned the web experience, so it's available through IE, Firefox, and Safari, Chrome. Within another great feature of Exchange, of Outlook Exchange and Exchange Online, is that it integrates with Link. Link, like as I mentioned earlier, is the instant messaging platform. So if you're checking email messages, you can, if you see on the right there, you actually can see who's online, who's available. If it's red, that means that person's busy, and you can actually start an instant message conversation right from the email interface. You don't have to open up Link. This is browser-based, so you can either do it through the Link client, but if you're already connected through the Outlook Web Access browser, you can start it right from within that browser. Okay, anywhere access via any mobile device. So this is enabled through Exchange ActiveSync. And as I mentioned earlier, it works on almost every phone system as long as it supports ActiveSync. So it works on iPhone, it works on an iPad as well. Another feature that's available through Exchange is the self-service remote device wipe, and that's a great feature in case you one of your employees loses their phone. It's your corporate phone, and you're concerned about anybody accessing your Exchange server, your confidential private information. Through the Exchange control panel, you can actually remove the connection on that phone remotely, and so it will disable the email, the calendar, the contacts. So if somebody loses a phone, then you can prevent unauthorized access to that phone. Okay, another feature is through Exchange Online, you have a global address list. You can basically use this as your company directory that you can share with all your employees. And you can also restrict, you can actually enable distribution groups. During the demo, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So you can also create like a sales and marketing group or a sales group or a help desk group, and then you can add members to those groups. So during the demo, I'm going to show you exactly how that works. Okay, so that was the first benefit of Exchange Online. The second benefit is the protection and compliance features. So protection and compliance, basically Exchange has a few features already built in. For example, integrated archiving. Some organizations, for instance, financial services or health organization, they have to comply by certain regulations. For instance, HIPAA or some other regulations that say, for instance, they require that you keep email for a certain period of time. For example, HIPAA laws may ask that you keep any patient-related information for 7 years. So you can actually create an archive section. You can actually set some retention policies around that that would automatically expire those emails. So instead of having to remember to delete those emails or having to worry about those emails occupying space in the long run, you can actually set a retention policy that would expire those emails in a specified time frame. And you can do this via policies. Another functionality that's available is e-discovery. So if you have, for instance, this is in cases where there's some litigation against your company or somebody, or you get a subpoena, or somebody's asking you to show records of a specific conversation that you have with an individual or a company. You can, but not just on your mailbox, but all mailboxes across the organization. You can do a multi-mailbox search through Exchange Online, and then you can provide the information as a record. So the way that archive works, this eliminates the need to have a PSD folder. In the past, the way the Outlook users used to archive their emails, they would create a PSD folder, which is basically a file that resides on your desktop, and then you can drag and drop from your inbox to that PSD folder. The archive mailbox sits alongside the main inbox. It's still hosted in the cloud, but it's a separate mailbox, and the capacity for this, you can have up to 100 gigabytes available. So it would definitely meet most business requirements for having to archive emails for X amount of years. Okay, moving along, let me go ahead and move to the next slide. So the way that Microsoft Exchange prevents spam and viruses is through a technology called Forefront Online Exchange, Forefront Online Protection for Exchange, or for short, sometimes we call it FOPE, F-O-P-E. This technology actually checks all your incoming and outgoing emails, and it scans for viruses. And this is automatically included with your subscription, so you're not paying extra for this, and this is already automatically implemented by Microsoft at the data centers. So this is a functionality that will reduce the amount of junk mail that comes to your mailboxes. Okay, I already touched on the archiving. So archiving is native now in Exchange. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So I already talked on, this is just visuals of what I discussed earlier. Okay, so retention policies and legal holds. So this is a screenshot that shows you how you can configure this in Exchange. And you can create custom policies, so you can do, depending on their, on the type of records, on the type of client, or for example here you have order parts orders, financial reports, and each one, as you can see from the screenshot, you can specify a retention period. So the order parts order, for instance, is 1 year. Any partner negotiation emails, you can retain it up to 5 years. And you can create several of these policies through Exchange Online. So these are defined centrally. So you can set this up in Exchange, and it's pushed to every individual email folder. So you don't have to worry about having to implement this at the individual level. You implement it once on Exchange server, and it applies to everybody. Okay, a couple more slides I have on protection and compliance. So Exchange also has this notion of transport rules. And the way this transport rules works is you set up rules on your inbox. And those rules have certain conditions, certain parameters. The example that I have here, it has to do with an organization that's going through a merger and acquisition. So as most people know, during a merger and acquisition process, there's a certain amount of time where nobody can really talk about the acquisition or the merger. So in order to enforce this through Exchange Online, what you can do is you can set an email, you can set up a transport rule that looks at all the emails that come across the email server with certain keywords. In this case, it will be merger. And then you can set certain actions. In this case, you can either redirect the message, you can redirect it to your console or to anybody that's overseeing the merger. And then you can also set different exceptions. So this is similar to the rules that you're familiar with in Outlook, but these are more around compliance, and applies to every mailbox that's hosted on your Exchange server. So this is an example of how the features, the enterprise-rich features of Exchange can help you, even your small and mid-sized organization. Okay, now let's talk about visibility and control. And this really, this is usually what whoever's managing your system, this is the biggest benefit to them, because now you have a web-based management console. Similar to if you have managed Exchange before, it gives you almost the same capabilities of the Exchange management server, but you do it through the browser. This is called the Exchange Control Panel. And through the demo, I'm going to actually log into the control panel, and we'll even try to add a user, so you can see how you can add a mailbox. But this is part of your Office 365 portal. So you have one portal, one interface that you log into as an administrator, and from there you can jump into the Exchange Control Panel. So you can configure, here you can configure different type of mailboxes. You can change your mail settings. You can also manage things like transport rules. You can manage even journaling. You can manage your unified communication settings through here. And this is also where you can do your multi-mailbox search. It's, as an administrator, if you're looking for those keywords, or you're trying to, if you have a legal requirement to find, like the example that I gave earlier for the mergers and acquisition, this is where you can perform those multi-mailboxes searches. Another thing about the Exchange Control Panel is it's role-based. It's got role-based access control. So basically, you can delegate certain administrative privileges to, for instance, you might want to have somebody that all they do is manage mailboxes. So you can give them access just to add users, to add new mailboxes. So this is great because now you don't need an IT person to add mailboxes, and you're just giving that specific role to a mailbox administrator. another, 1 second. Okay. So on the right here, you see the remote PowerShell. So if anybody on the call is not familiar with PowerShell, PowerShell is a command-based utility that's been implemented on most of Microsoft servers. It's an administrative tool, and it's used to manage, instead of having to go through the interface, you can type in the commands, and I'll give you an example of some of those commands. But if you're already familiar with PowerShell and you already manage Exchange servers via PowerShell, you can use the same PowerShell commands. The only difference is you'll be connecting to a remote Microsoft Online server instead of connecting to your local server. Okay, this is another screenshot of the Exchange control panel, and I already discussed some of this functionality, the role-based access control. In addition to that, you have built-in auditing reports, so you can run some of those reports from the Exchange control panel as well, and the PowerShell Advanced Management, which I discussed already. Okay. Apologize, there was a slight delay there on the slides. This is what I was referring to right here. And this is an example of some of the PowerShell commands that you have available. Okay, so what I'd like to do now, I'd like to give you a quick demo. So it's gonna, what I'd like to do is log into, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. Once I get connected, what you're gonna see is the Microsoft Online portal, the single interface where you can actually see all your different Microsoft Office 365 products. Okay, again, I apologize about the delay. It should be coming up momentarily. You can see it? Okay, great. All right, so what you see here is the Microsoft Online, Microsoft Office 365 portal. When you first log in, you have access to all your services, Outlook, Link. The team site, so the site that I'm looking at right now, it's actually my enterprise account. So if I click on the team site, it actually takes me to my main SharePoint portal. But what I'd like to show you first is from a user perspective, when you log into the portal, and all you want to do is check your email, you would go to Outlook. And this is similar to the rich Outlook client that you have on your desktop, but it's on the browser. So you notice you have the same functionality, it has the same look and feel. But what's different here is that you still have access to go back to your portal, or you can actually go to your team site. So if I go to the team site, it's going to take me to my SharePoint site. So this is what I mean by you have an integrated platform where you can manage all your communications and collaboration needs. So if I go back to the portal site, to manage Exchange, what I need to do is I want to go to the Admin tab. And here you see Exchange Online, Link Online, SharePoint Online, and I can also deploy Microsoft desktop apps through here as well. What I'd like to do is launch, go to Manage on the Exchange Online. This is going to launch the Exchange control panel. So this is where I can add mailboxes, so I can add a new user. The room mailboxes that you would manage conference rooms or meeting rooms. So if I were just to add a new user, and I'm just going to add Joe Smith here. Okay. And then when you first configure Office 365, by default you get a domain name. In this case it's webpartners.onmicrosoft.com. But then you can add your own custom domain. So if I want Joe Smith to use, for instance, webforcetech.com, I can assign that domain name to him. And I'm just going to create a quick password here. I can require that he changes his password on his first login. And here's a different type of mailbox plans I have available. In this case, it defaults to the enterprise plan. The deskless plan, I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. It's part of the Kiosk plan, and so just remember, deskless relates to the Kiosk plan. So I'll explain that in about a few minutes when I get to that slide. But in this case, I'm going to select the enterprise plan, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it. And that's how easy you can deploy a mailbox. So I created a new mailbox for this user. Then I can manage his details through here as well. So that's how you manage individual mailbox and users. You can also manage distribution groups. So if I wanted to add a new group in here, and I want to call this Help Desk. and the alias could be help desk. So this is, and then I can add members. So it's going to add myself. Let's see, I want to add Sylvia to that group. Okay, and I can keep adding and removing people to that alias. I'm going to hit save. Okay, so that's how you add a new distribution. Oh, I'm already using it, so I can't use it. I'm just going to cancel for now. You can also manage external contacts. So these are people that are not necessarily mailbox users, but you might want to share those contacts with everybody in your organization. And if you notice here, the last tab here, email migration, this is a built-in tool that Microsoft makes available to all their Office 365 users that will allow you to migrate your mailboxes from other systems. That could be either another Exchange server, it could be an on-premise Exchange server, or it could also be any IMAP-based email system. So it's a great tool. It's a neat tool that Microsoft makes available to you as well. There are other tools available out there, and I'm going to talk about those too before we end the call. So that's users and groups, and here's some of the compliance and protection features that I talked about, different roles, some of the auditing functionality, mail control. This is where you can manage your transport rules. So the example that I used earlier about mergers and acquisitions, I can manage that through here. Journaling. So it's basically almost a full functionality of an on-premise Exchange server, but it's available through the cloud. And you don't have to worry about maintaining the servers. You just manage the service through the browser. It also has some built-in communication functionality you can tie in. Depending on the plan that you sign up for, you can also connect your PBX system. What this does is allows you to get your voicemails through your inbox. So if you have a PBX system that supports Exchange 2010, somebody leaves you a voicemail, you can actually get a notification. And in some instances, depending on the PBX, it would also transcribe that voicemail so you can get a text-based email of that voice message as well. Okay, so that's this is how you would manage Exchange Online through the browser. Okay, I'm back here. What I'd like to do now is show you another quick demo. I would like to show you the power of the integration between Exchange and SharePoint. So in this case, I'm going to go back to my portal. What I'd like to do is switch to a demo site that I've created. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is a blank SharePoint site I created. And the only reason I did this, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you part of the enterprise features of SharePoint. If I want to edit this page, let's say for instance I like to create a CRM system or some kind of a portal that I want to work on a daily basis, but I don't want to keep having to go back to Outlook to check my emails. So I want to have a view into my inbox from here. Through SharePoint in Office 365, you can actually add, and if you haven't seen this before, in SharePoint, everything gets added either as a list or a web part. A web part is a way to view data inside of SharePoint. So if I go into the categories and if I look at Outlook Web App, I can take, for instance, my inbox, which is the same account that I'm using for Exchange. It's also the same authentication I'm using for SharePoint. I can add that to a SharePoint site, and real quick configuration, it already knows my username, so I just need to put in my mail server. And you can get this simply by going to the Outlook Web Access site, and it's the same URL that it redirects you to, so I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to input my mail server address in here. And what's going to happen now is I'm going to have access to my Exchange inbox right from inside SharePoint. So if I need to work on a customer list, on some kind of marketing list, and I have to, and I want to stay alert to my emails, I don't have to go into Outlook to check my emails. I can see my inbox, my messages right from here. And it's a full inbox functionality, so I can actually double-click and open the email. And this is the same email. This is the same interface that you'll see in Outlook on Outlook Web Access. I can reply to the email. I can delete it. And I'm doing this from within SharePoint, integrating with Exchange Online. So another quick example. So it's not just for your emails. You can do that with your tasks, with your calendars. And this, what I like to do now, let's say I want to also display my contacts from Exchange. So let's see, if I pick this web part, I'm going to add it. I'm going to open the tool pane, and again, I'm just going to paste the email server in here. Hit OK. So now in the SharePoint site, I have access to my inbox and my contacts. So I don't like the way this web part is displayed. It's very small, so you can modify your web parts. So I just go to Appearance here, and let's say I want to be able to view more contacts in here. All I have to do is change the height of the web part. In this case, fixed height, say yes, and let's make this 400 pixels. I'm going to save that. So now I have a better view of my contacts. So I'm going to stop editing the page. So I'm now inside of SharePoint. I'm just going to look at the site like a normal user would look at it. And I have my inbox and my contacts right inside of SharePoint connected to Exchange Online. So that's a quick demo I wanted to show you on that. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I'm going to return to the PowerPoint slides. So what are the migration options? You have different migration options from if you like to move to Exchange Online. If you already have an Exchange server, I already showed you a tool that's built in right within Office 365 where you can take some of your Exchange mailboxes and start migrating those directly to Exchange Online. That's probably the easiest migration path. But not every user is going to migrate from an Exchange server to Exchange Online. You might have Gmail accounts. You may have some other IMAP-based account. There's several tools available out in the market. There's third-party tools available. One product that we use a lot, and it's not an endorsement in any way, but we use MigrationWiz for smaller clients because that's a self-service email migration tool. There are other tools out there, Metalogics, there's Quest Software. So there are definitely a lot of cloud-based tools. Some are free, some depending on the needs of your organization, some you have to pay a license. But Microsoft also provides you with a built-in migration tool that you can use yourself right from the Exchange control panel. So there's definitely different migration paths available. If you have specific questions about a specific email system that you currently use and that you would like to migrate to Exchange Online, feel free to send me an email or send me a tweet on Twitter. You can connect with us and we'll be able to assist you with that. So there's different tools available, and then there's different approaches. So you can either do a quick migration where you actually do everything over a weekend, or that might not be feasible for large organizations. So you might want to do a hybrid scenario where you migrate certain mailboxes and then you coexist the mailboxes from the Exchange server with the Exchange Online server for so a specific period of time into you migrate all your mailboxes. Okay, the bottom line is that there's flexibility in your deployment, so you can do it using some of the tools I mentioned. You don't need to really buy tools, so there's no software to install. A lot of these tools are web-based, and you can migrate from most email systems as long as it supports IMAP, or if it's coming from an Exchange. You can migrate directly from Exchange. A lot of businesses are still using Exchange 2003. This will be a great migration option for you. Instead of having to upgrade your servers to 2007 or 2010, this could be a more cost-effective solution for you. Okay, so on this slide, I'm basically coexistence scenarios where you can share, where you can have some mailboxes online, you can have some mailboxes on-premise servers. With this scenario, it actually allows you to share your free busy information. What that means is you can actually check the availability of some of the users online and some of the users on-premise. Okay, I notice we have about 20 minutes. I'm going to kind of move forward a little quickly. So another capability of Exchange Online is you have access to Exchange Web Services. And this is for anybody on the call that's a developer. This is what gives you the ability to use some of the Exchange APIs and build solutions that integrate with some of your systems. The demo that I showed you a few minutes ago, the Exchange web parts within SharePoint, that leverages this type of this API. So those are web parts that were built using Exchange Web Services, and that's based on the .NET framework. And basically, it gives you the tools, the functionality that you need to be able to integrate Exchange Online with other systems. Okay, so during the demo, I mentioned the deskless scenario, and that's part of the kiosk subscription. So a kiosk worker, what Microsoft refers to kiosk worker is somebody that doesn't necessarily work at a desk, somebody that's on the, either traveling from location to location. Could be truck drivers, could be nurses at a hospital that are constantly moving from one nurse station to another. So this is the type of users that need access to their email systems, even SharePoint. And the way they connect to it is through the Kiosk Office 365 plan. So basically they just need a browser, they just need to connect from any computer, and they have access to the Outlook web app version. One of the biggest difference with this plan, it costs less, but you also get less space. So instead of 25 gigabytes of space, you get a 500 meg mailbox, which in most cases is ideal for workers that are not constantly sitting at their desk. So they might need to check email once in a while to check for important announcements. So this might be a really good solution for that workers are always on the go and don't have a workstation assigned to them. They still get the same antivirus, anti-spam protection, so it's still the same enterprise class email solution that you get through the enterprise product, but it's a reduced version of it. So you get it's a lightweight version of Exchange Online. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is quickly talk about the different plans that are available. As a small business or a professional, if you're an independent consultant, you can start using this immediately, and it's only going to cost $6 per month per user, and that would give you access to Outlook. It would give you access to SharePoint and also Link, so you can do the conference and the PC to PC and video calling. So this is the P plan, the professional plan. So I just wanted to compare this to the next plans, or this is the interface for the professional plan. And then there's also the enterprise plans and the kiosk plans available. So here's the pricing. I will make these slides available, so if you'd like to learn more about this, you can either download the slides or you can contact us directly. But just give you an idea of the different functionality. On the enterprise plans, as you go up the different plans, you get access to additional features. Some of these features are SharePoint-based features. If you need access to Office Professional Plus, you will go to the E3 plan. If you need voice capabilities, so if you need to integrate with your PBX systems, then you will go with the E4 plan. So I just wanted to give you a quick comparison of the different Office 365 plans that are available out there. Okay, so I talked about a lot of the benefits of using Exchange Online, but in summary, the real benefits is it's going to cost you operational and technology costs because you don't have to invest in hardware. You don't have to, in most cases, you don't have to invest in a lot of staff to maintain the systems. You might need just one person. And then the other thing is it gets you up and running quickly because you don't have to wait for the deployment phase. You don't have to wait for servers to be implemented, hardware to be installed. All you have to do is sign up for the service and start consuming it immediately. And it gives you the tools and productivity tools that you're used to working with at the enterprise level. Even small and mid-sized business can use this immediately through Office 365. So how do you get started with moving to the cloud? So the one way you can do that is you can actually sign up for a free trial. So if you can actually go to our website, which is WebForce1.net. There's a link there where you can click on Try Office 365, and you can sign up for a 30-day free trial. You don't have to enter no credit card information. There's no risk. All you have to do is provide an email address and some basic information, and you can immediately start using some of these services, and you can try it for yourself. So the easiest way to do that is to go to our website, www.webforce1.net, click on Try Office 365. What I also wanted to do is I wanted to give you some links to get some additional information on either Office 365 or on Exchange Online in particular. So here's some links available to you. And again, I will make this slide available so you don't have to write it down. I can make this available later for you. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to kind of open it up for questions. I'm going to turn it over to Yasmina to see if she can read some of the questions that we have in the queue. If you have any additional questions for me afterwards when the presentation is over, here's my email address, or you can also contact me via Twitter as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Yasmina. I hope this was informational and educational for everyone, so I'll turn it over to you now.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamie. We do have a few questions that have come in. We have a question from Luke Miller. Luke would like to know, can you show how to configure support@mycompany.com so that multiple people can read or answer support emails?
Sure. So the way that I created, I'm not going to switch over to this. Well, actually, let me see if I can do it real quick. So you can create that's either going to be a distribution group, or you can also do an alias. There's two ways you can do that. So if you do a distribution group and you create support@mycompany.com, you can assign existing members to that group. So if somebody emails support@mycompany.com, everybody in that group is going to get that email. Another option is you can set up an email alias. So if only one person is going to receive those emails, for example, let's say I want all the support emails to come to me under my account settings. I can set up an alias. So anything that comes to support@webforce1.net would go to jamie.velez@webforce1.net. So there's two options available. I'm not going to switch to screen sharing because of the delay when I try to make the best use of the time we have left for more questions. But if I think you said Bruce, or if he wants me to show them, feel free to ping me, send me an email. I'll be glad to show you how to do that on a different remote session. Any other questions?
Yes, let's take a peek here. We have a question also from Mark. Mark would like to know, we currently have Exchange as a service from a provider. Does migration work the same?
So so there's a lot of third-party providers that provide some form of Exchange cloud-based. It works the same. So we haven't done one yet from another Exchange for a third-party provider, but it's an Exchange. So basically, they're hosting an Exchange server at their facility. So you just have to think about it as an on-premise Exchange migration to Exchange Online. So yes, it should be, as long as it's an Exchange server, either 2003, 2007, 2010, you can even leverage the tool that's available on the Microsoft Office 365 website to perform that migration. So there's two parts to the migration. There's moving the mailbox, moving the messages, and then there's the cutover. And the cutover is something that you normally control because the person that owns that domain name has access to the DNS records, and they can do the cutover. So yes, I have to learn more about that specific third-party Exchange provider, but you should be able to do it.
Okay, and then we have a question. Mark, again, would like to know, what is the advantage of setting up my account with WebForce1 versus directly with Microsoft?
The number one advantage is that we become your partner of record. So if you have any specific questions or if you'd like to learn more about the services, you can contact us directly. We basically serve as a support intermediary between Microsoft. Depending on the Office 365 plan that you choose, for instance, the small business and professional plan only provide email-based support. The enterprise plans provide 24/7 telephone support. We basically act as a value-added reseller. So not only we implement the service, but some of the services that we do have to do with implementing SharePoint as well. So we can show you how to integrate SharePoint with Exchange. And we can also share some of the best practices that we've learned from working with other customers. So think of WebForce1 as the consulting, as a trusted service consulting provider that gives you added values.
Okay, and one final question is from Jennifer, and Jennifer asks, can you please explain what a room mailbox is and when would I want to use it?
Absolutely, great question. So a room mailbox is the way for you to manage conference rooms. So let's say at your office you have 3 or 4 conference rooms that are in high demand. People always want to book those rooms. Traditionally, people have used a spreadsheet or some other kind of web-based system to manage those rooms. You can manage those rooms through Exchange, and you can actually send a request to block those rooms, and you can even send an alert to the person that requested the room when that room has become available. So it's just another way to, instead of just managing users and mailboxes, you can also manage your conference and meeting rooms through Exchange.
Okay, and one more came in. Are there any limitations to running these programs on a Mac?
So actually, because Office 365 supports the Safari browser, it works well. I use it all the time on my iPad. The other day, on YouTube, if you search Office 365 on Mac, there's a few demos out there. So there are no limitations. The only thing I can think of is there is so if you want to use an email client, there is Office for Mac 2011. It's different than Office Professional 2010, but it does connect. I'm not familiar with the other email clients I would connect, but as far as using it through the browser, you can connect to the portal, you can connect to Outlook Web Access, you can even connect to SharePoint directly through a Mac, and it's the same experience.
I'm not seeing any additional questions, so just real quick, I'll let folks know. Folks, if you have any final questions, please type those into the group chat and send those in while we still have Jamie with us so he can answer them. And then as we peek to see if anyone's sending anything else in, not seeing anything else. Did you have anything further for our audience today, Jamie?
No, just real quick, just want to thank everybody for attending today's webcast. I know everybody's busy, so I appreciate you taking an hour of your time to learn more about Office 365 and Exchange Online. Just want to do a quick plug for our next webcast. I'm going to put the slide up. So the last one that we're doing in this series is on Link Online. So if you'd like to learn more about Link and the unified communication capabilities of Link, please tune in. That's going to happen December 1st at the same time. And you can register through O'Reilly.com/webcast. And if you have any other questions for me, again, you can reach me through my email, to my Twitter handle, or you can go to our website and you can hit the Contact Us page, and I'll be happy to follow up with anybody.